Okay, let's go.
We've talked about the STAR program over the last couple of videos. We talked about study, target, acquire, resell, and transact as the 5 steps. Then we kind of dove into each step individually. And now we're going to move on to the resale step. So just a little recap of where we're at. The study step, that is that 4-question test that we talked about, right? What's your market, who your sellers are, who your buyers are, and what's your budget. And once we define that, we can move on to the target step. The target is when we actually start actively reaching out and finding potential sellers and buyers for that matter, putting out advertising, making cold outreaches, doing inbound versus outbound, and the different strategies that are involved to basically create conversations. That's the ultimate goal of the target step, is to create conversations. Once those conversations happen is when you move into the acquire step that we talked about last time. And that is when we start qualifying these folks on the pillars of motivation, right? Their motivation, timeline, condition, and price pillars. Start talking to them about that and seeing if they're going to be a good fit, seeing if they have a problem that we're able to solve, and moving from that initial conversation all the way through the process to solve a problem, present an offer, and get a contract. In the initial video, we kind of talked about what wholesaling is. So just to recap on that, wholesaling is the action of getting a property under contract, therefore acquiring it with equitable interest. You're not actually closing on the property, but as soon as that contract is signed, you have what's called equitable interest. And then you're going to go and resell that equitable interest to an end buyer. So you're going to find somebody that wants to do the fix and flip, or wants to, oops, sorry about that, wants to have it as a buy and hold, or whatever it happens to be. They're the ones that want to be your end buyer. And then you're going to sell that equitable interest for a property. And that is where we're at now. We're at that resale step. And dispositions and acquisitions are the 2 types of sales that you run into in wholesaling. Acquisitions is acquiring the properties, and dispositions is dispoing or selling those properties. And full disclosure, they are 2 completely different sales. Acquisitions is acquiring properties for the best possible price, but also solving problems and building rapport and building trust and building a relationship and things of that nature. And so it's a very delicate balance of solving the problem, being empathetic to what's going on, but then it's also at the same time devaluing a property enough through repairs that are needed, or whatever it happens to be in your offers, to be able to buy it at deep enough discount so that you're able to resell. So on the disposition side, there is some rapport building and things of that nature that is important to build a relationship over time, but it is much more transactional. You're dealing with a different avatar when you're selling properties than when you're buying properties. When you're buying properties, you're dealing with people that probably have never sold a house directly without a realtor or anything like that, or bought a house without a realtor. Um, Probably the first time that they've kind of encountered this off-market real estate transaction. And so it's different, and they don't really understand the entire process. And there's a lot of trust that needs to be there because it's unknown. And I think that is the biggest difference when you're dealing with investors and you're dealing with end buyers, especially experienced end buyers. They understand the business, they understand the transaction, they understand that you're bringing them a wholesale deal, and there's misconceptions and true conceptions and everything that goes along with that, with being a wholesaler, right? But they understand what they're kind of doing and what they're getting into, and it's very transactional, right? It's your job as a successful person doing dispositions is to present this deal in a way that piques interest, but also solves their problem, right? So thinking about who your buyers are and understanding what their business is will help you in this process. Also, it's going to help you grow. So this is one of the reasons why starting out with wholesaling in real estate is powerful, because once you do actually get deals and they're real deals and you actually make transactions and sell to buyers and things like that, you start really connecting with the people that you're selling your deals to and having just random conversations throughout the month, throughout the year, throughout the week with these folks, because they're going to reach out, hey, do you have another deal? And you start a conversation with them, and you start building a relationship with them. And then you can find ways about their business that interest you. And you have somebody there that most of the time you can ask questions about it, right? And how's that flip going for you? I'd love to come over and take a look at it. Let me pick your brain. How could I help, add value to your business other than bringing you your next deal and stuff like that? Can I help you on this project in any way? All these different things. And you can kind of get your foot in the door for fix and flips or buy and holds, where maybe property management or property maintenance or something like that, or project management, whatever it happens to be, like getting in and finding tenants, right, for folks and stuff like that. You've got all different types of options that you can kind of work with people that are already in the business doing what you want to ultimately do and learning from them by adding value. And so that's what really successful people use wholesaling for, is a stepping stone, and finding deals and then ultimately selling those deals to end buyers is an amazing way to open that door. So if you're looking to build a wholesaling business, that's great, right? Dispositions is dispositions, and let's go through it. Let's find as many buyers as possible so that we can create demand for these things, and let's pitch them the right way, and let's sell them the right way, and let's make assignments and move on. If we're just getting started in real estate and we're using wholesaling as a stepping stone, then it still starts with finding a deal. It still starts with study and targeting and then acquiring properties. But once you actually have that property, now you have leverage, you have things that will ultimately use as a stepping stone to bring you more into different levels and different strategies in real estate. As far as dispositions in general, if you're going to start a wholesaling business, or if you just want that repeatable process and things like that, the ultimate goal is to be able to present this deal effectively to as many potential buyers as possible. So whether that's through Facebook Marketplace or Facebook groups, at local RIA events, with online tools like PropStream, or and what is it? We use Investor Base. There's another one that really, really, really expensive. I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but a dispositions platform that's out there. Nonetheless, using systems like that to be able to find buyers is great. Cold calling buyers works. Bandit signs, right? Um, you'll get calls on bandit signs for both buyers and sellers. So that's a huge benefit, being able to put bandit signs out in neighborhoods and things like that. If that's something that you want to do to really build your network and your Rolodex, if you will. A lot of people go with Facebook and do like Facebook Marketplace or Facebook groups and things like that. But ultimately, the more that you're able to go out to local events and meet people and have connections with people and find out where the buyers are, find out who's doing the deals, and build up your personal Rolodex. And again, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. So when you make that telephone call to John that flips houses and he does 6 to 7 deals a year, John answers the phone and doesn't say, "Who's this?" He says, "Hey, Seth, how you doing? Right? What do you got? Every time you call me, you got a deal. Let's talk." Right? Those types of relationships, those are the most powerful, and those are the ones that are going to create the most success for you as a wholesaler. So building your Rolodex over time, some people actually say that building your buyers list is more important than finding a deal to start. I disagree with that completely. I think that the deal is the most important part. Um, you need to be ethical and you need to be upfront, right? But when you're new, you can absolutely say, to your seller, I need to find a partner. And I don't know exactly how long that takes, but I'm confident that we can work something out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to communicate through the process with you to find this partner. Give me the opportunity, right? Help me help you. Things like that, right? So you're not over promising and under delivering. You're not saying that you're going to write them a check for $200,000 in 10 days when you don't even know how to find a buyer yet, right? Like, being honest, being ethical, being truthful. But once you have the contract, that's when buyers, real buyers, actually start having a conversation with you, right? I can reach out to buyers and talk to them and let them know, hey, I'm getting started in real estate, and I haven't found a deal yet, but as soon as I find a deal, I want to be able to send it to you. Tell me a little bit about. Yeah, man, when you find a deal, give me a call, right? That they're going to blow you off the phone because they're not they're not interested. Most buyers are not going to be interested in having a conversation with you and telling you what their buy box is and different things like that if they don't have a deal. Right. So you got to strike the conversation up somewhere and you got to bring some value to them. And the deal is the value. So your initial conversations with buyers are going to be a lot more forthright if you have a deal first. Then it's all on how you present. And it depends on if it's the first time that you talk to this buyer, or if you've talked to them many times, how you present these deals. If you're on Facebook and things of that nature, and in groups and things of that nature, and you're presenting a deal, you just present the numbers. You just present it out there, and you let people reach out to you, give me more information, and then you start having that conversation. But if you're reaching out to them, the first time is, hey, John, I appreciate you taking the time. I've got a deal. I'd love to present it to you. I haven't ever met with you yet, so I don't really know what your business is and what you do and things like that. I know that this is a great investment for someone. I hope it's a good one for you. If it's not, cool. Let's have a conversation about what would be, so that the next time I find that, I can make sure that I reach out to you directly, right? I've got this deal. It's 123 Main Street. It's a 3-bed, 1 bath. It's 1,500 square feet. It's in decent shape, right? That doesn't need anything structurally or anything like that. But I would recommend, you know, touching up all the drywall and painting everything and putting in new kitchens and bathrooms and floors and really getting the HGTV level. So um, I'd love for you to take a look at it. I think the ARV on this property is about 375 or so after everything's said and done, if you do it up to the level that I'm thinking. But I'd love for you to take a look. I've got some pictures here that I can send over to you. What's a good email for me to share it with you? Right? Super simple. Super thing. Straight to the point. It's transactional. Buyers, investors, they're going to respect you if you're respecting their time. You want to speak with them in a different manner. Um, some investors are, going to sit there and they're going to want to talk, and they're not everybody is going to be that type A personality, and not everybody's going to look for that transactional, but a majority of them are going to be very transactional, very type A, very to the point. Don't waste my time. I won't waste your time type situation. So understand that. And in sales in general, being a chameleon and leaning into and mirroring what your client is showing you is the most important part. You're still going to kind of go at this or approach this interaction the same way that you approach your interaction with your sellers. So on my dispositions calls, I absolutely still use my company mission statement, right? Like, we provide solutions to every client we serve. I'd love for you to be a client of mine so I can provide solutions for you. You don't have time to go out and source your own deals, right? Like, you don't have time to sit in a living room in a house that's full of junk and talk to grandma about her house, and she wants $300,000 for her $220,000 house because Johnny, her realtor friend of a friend of a friend, said that they should absolutely not sell it for less than that, and they'll get you all that stuff. You don't have time for stuff like that. You don't have time to go through a 9-month probate process and talk to 17 disinterested parties and 5 different heirs and things like that. Like, you want to find a deal and you want to buy it, you want to close on it so that you can go through the process and do what you need to do. I'm here because I do all that work for you. Um, so you're still providing a solution, right? You're taking the the headaches of the transactions and finding the deals and the marketing dollars that it can take to find deals at scale and things like that. You're taking on the brunt of that and then just bringing them a pretty wrapped package. um, and you have to present it that way, right? You have to be confident in knowing what you're doing. um, I will say that depending on where you are in the country and depending on the markets that you're in, but every market is going to have it. You're going to have investors that prefer not to do deals with wholesalers. There are investors that feel like wholesaling in general is just unethical, and that um, everybody's in here just to get a money grab, and they can't get a good deal because a wholesaler has it already, and they're not going to make any money because the wholesaler is making all of their profit and things like that. And you can just avoid those types of investors, or you can actually have a conversation with them and talk to them about the solutions that you absolutely provide. You need to be confident in what you are, and you need to believe it. You need to have conviction in order to have those conversations. But it's the same confidence and conviction that you have in that acquire step when you're talking to your sellers and you're presenting the solution, right? Like, yeah, I understand this is not probably the most money that you could get for this house. Like, you could spend $50,000 to fix this, and this, and then put it on the market with a realtor, and they put it on the MLS and send it out to as many buyers as humanly possible. And you get a bunch of tours throughout the house and people coming in and out, and you'll get offers and inspections and appraisals, and you'll get all those different things. And ultimately, you'd probably walk away with a little bit more money. What I'm offering to you is this solution, right? Same thing on the buyer side. When you're doing dispositions, is you can absolutely go driving for dollars and drive through neighborhoods and find houses that look like they may or may not be distressed or vacant, or whatever you're looking for, boarded up windows, tall grass, whatever. Then you can spend the time, the effort, and the money it takes to skip trace those individual owners and try to find quality data to get in touch with these folks and reach out to them as many times as it takes to actually get them on the phone in some way, shape, or form, so that you can have a conversation to see if they may even be interested in selling that property. And then if you are lucky enough to find somebody that is interested, you can go through the entire process of finding out what's going on in their life and what's holding them up from selling, and provide those solutions to them. And then absolutely, you could probably buy this house at a little bit deeper discount than what I'm going to offer you here today. But I've done all that work for you, and I understand that you're an investor, and I understand that you are in this business to make money, and it's my job to provide my client with a solution that makes sense. So the numbers have to make sense for you, just like they have to make sense for me. And honestly, I think that the price that we have it at today is going to be an excellent deal for you. But if it's not, I'd love your feedback about that. What number would make sense for you? And having conversations like that with your buyers is confident, it's direct, but it also builds value in yourself and you have conviction in what you're offering. Um, that's the most important thing. I think that once you've built rapport with buyers, it becomes a little bit different. If you've done deals with them before, you've had conversations with them, or you have met them at multiple, local meetups and things of that nature, and things like that. Maybe you've never done a deal together, but they go to the same RIA every month, and you've been going for 6 or 7 months, and you always have a good conversation, and you understand that James, is a buy and hold investor, and he does a lot of Section 8 housing, and so he, is looking to grow his portfolio. He really like to get out of this multifamily and get more into the single family space, because he finds that a lot of the tenants are asking for a backyard. They're asking for parking. They're asking for a house, not an apartment. And so he'd like to add some of that to his portfolio, right? So don't present that deal to James like, hey, the ARV is this, and if you do this much repair, you can flip it for this much. And like, that's not the numbers that James writes on, right? Present the deal as, James, this is a single family house, which is what you're looking to add to your portfolio. I did the research, and this currently right now is a 3-bed, 1 bath, but it's 1,500 square feet, and it's got a den that you could actually convert into a fourth bedroom if you decided to do that. What I did is I ran my numbers based on it being a 3-bedroom, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Section 8 rents in this area are about this for a 3-bedroom. And if you were able to convert that den into a fourth bedroom, I think you could add $250, $300, what it is, whatever that number is, you can add that to your rent as well. So there's a huge value add opportunity there. But I think that this deal probably pencils as a 3-bedroom. And so I wanted to make sure when I presented it to you that you understood you have the ability to capture all that value add for yourself. Tell me what you think about it. James is going to look at that deal. James is excited about that deal. James is looking for single bedroom or single family homes to add to his portfolio. James understands that in the Section 8 world, the bedroom count is the biggest determining factor of the rent that he's going to receive. And so that type of value add is exciting to him, to be able to do the math on, does it make sense to add this bedroom and do these different things versus the return that he's going to get. You're letting him figure all that out, but you're also presenting it in a way, hey, I ran all my numbers, and I think that it pencils out here as a 3-bedroom, but you have this value add opportunity. And I wanted to make sure that you were able to capitalize on that fully, because a lot of people are going to present it in a way that, hey, all you have to do is put a closet in this room over here, and now you got a 4-bedroom, and boom, the numbers work. I know it doesn't work as a 3-bedroom right now, but it'll work as a 4-bedroom. Like, maybe he doesn't want to add that. Maybe he knows people that are looking for an office space, that they have a 3-bedroom voucher, but they're needing an office space in there, and this is going to work absolutely perfect. And all he has to do is paint the walls, and he's good to go, right? Landlords look at renovations a little bit different too, right? They're looking for sustainability and lower what they call CapEx, or capital expenditures, or large repairs, lower those over the course of time. So things like roofs, HVAC, hot water tanks, windows, flooring, things like that. They want to, if they're going to do the flooring, they want to be able to do the flooring once and not worry about it anymore. Instead of putting cheap carpet in every time, they may spend a little bit extra and put like glue down LVP so that they don't have to worry about it anymore for the length that they own the house, right? They may spend a little bit more on putting roofing on and do a lifetime metal roof so that they never have to worry about it again, versus putting on just 20-year shingles or something like that. Um, they're going to probably do some deferred maintenance and things of that nature, but some of the finishes and things like that may not be as HGTV gorgeous as you see in flip houses too. So the fits and finishes may be a little bit different. You got to understand that. You got to understand what decisions your buyers are making so that you can present the deal the right way. That same exact deal, presenting it in a way that, hey, it's a 3-bedroom right now, but you can add it a 4-bedroom and it's going to increase the rents by this much. If you're talking to somebody that's flipping 4 to 5 houses a month and you're talking to them like that, you're talking Greek to them. Okay. They're not going to be interested in that deal. Yeah, absolutely. You should find somebody that's interested in Section 8 because I flip houses. I'm not a landlord, right? You're presenting it the wrong way. This is the guy that you talk about. I know that you flip a lot of houses, and I've seen your houses online, and you brought them to the group and you showed it to us. I even toured one of the houses with you just to, on that Saturday, and I appreciate the time that you put in. And man, you do stuff right. You do all your houses that way, that like HGTV quality and things of that nature. You do awesome. Well, I tell you what, I ran the numbers based on like getting top of market and really pushing the level and stuff like that. I think I ran my numbers and it came back around 350 or so. I think, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think you could probably push 380 on this house if you did it right. I bought and did all my numbers based on a 350 ARV, so you got a lot of room over and above the numbers that I ran. But I wanted to make sure that I put in enough kind of budget for renovation and things like that. I'd love for you to look at this and you tell me kind of what your budget would be on a renovation, whether you end up buying the house or not. I'm just curious what you think it would cost. I had a number of 62,000 on it. That is all new, luxury vinyl plank, granite countertops, new soft close cabinets, maybe adding a bathroom off of the main bedroom there to have an actual master, and a brand new roof, just freshening up the siding, servicing the AC, stuff like that. But I'd love to hear your information about it. I've got a bunch of pictures. I can set up a walkthrough for later on this afternoon if you're available. I've got a lockbox. If you're not available this afternoon, you can go in there tomorrow morning. Love for you to take a look at this property. What's a good time for you? Presenting the deal two different ways, presenting the deal based on the way the buyer wants to look at the deal. That's probably the most important thing. And again, that comes with time and it comes with you knowing what your people are looking for. And so on that initial conversation, you're not going to know that, right? James, it's the first time I talked to you today, so I'm not sure if this deal really fits, but I think it could be a great buy and hold or a flip. I'm not sure which one's the best, and I'm not sure which one you do, but I'd love for you to take a look at it, and then let's talk about what you buy so that the next time that I find what you're looking for, I make sure to reach out to you first. That's it. Find the numbers. A couple of things that are super important on the disposition side, in my opinion. Um, we want an EMD, an earnest money deposit, as soon as humanly possible. Um, inspection periods are fine, but they have to be quick. Inspections are quick. We do cash purchases or hard money or private money or anything like that. We don't do conventional financing for our buyers. So if they're an FHA buyer, like, this ain't gonna work, right? Like, where's the money coming from? If you've never done business with them before, asking for proof of funds is not out of the realm of normalcy or anything like that. So proof of funds, EMD, going not to you but going to your title company, is super important as quickly as possible so that everything's kind of locked in and started. Quick timelines. You want to move quickly on these. How fast can you close? Um, inspection periods. If they need, they want to inspect a septic system or they want to have their contractors come through. It's completely fine, right? Let's get all that done in the next 3 to 4 days, or as soon as humanly possible. Um, we don't want, we want to make sure that they're serious. We want to make sure that they're going to execute, because we're not going to market anymore on the property unless we want to get backup buyers. But who wants to be second in line, right? It's going to be a lot harder to find a backup buyer. Um, and we just want to make sure that they're going to execute, because ultimately we've made a promise to our seller that we're going to close by a certain date. Now we're relying on this person to execute on their behalf. So we need to put some control in place. We're going to run everything through our closing attorney. Okay. So whether that's a title company or a closing attorney, it doesn't matter. They're using ours. The transaction comes through us. So making sure that all of that is agreed upon up front when we sign the assignment of contract, or whatever documents you're going to have them sign, right? It depends on the state that you're doing and the type of transaction that you're doing, on exactly what contract you're going to have them sign. But they're going to sign an agreement to buy the house for X amount of dollars over and above what you bought the house for. Um, but again, it's very important that you're going to control this transaction. Um, that's where, on your first deal or your second deal, if you don't have somebody that you've kind of partnered with and stuff like that, you haven't gone through it, and you don't have the connections for a title company or a closing attorney or things like that, that things can get hairy very, very quickly. Because again, most of these buyers are more experienced. It's more transactional, more type A. And so if you stumble when you're presenting the actual details about, well, I'd really like you to use my, no, like, this is what it is. It's $5,000 EMD. You're going to close in 14 days. You're going to close with um, hard money or cash, and you're going to provide proof of funds of what you're going to be using, whether that be proof of funds from your hard money lender saying that you're pre-approved for X amount of line of credit dollars, or showing a bank account that you have the money in there. And you're going to send all that information along with your EMD over to my title company, and we're going to close in 14 days. Also, another thing is speed to transaction. That's super important, right? So if I write a contract on July 1st and tell them that I'm going to close by August 15th, that's great. If I find a buyer on July 7th, I'm going to tell them that he needs to close by the 21st, 14 days, right? Like, that's what we would want. You're going to be a hero if you come to your seller and it's a vacant house. There's nothing in there. They're just waiting, right? They signed a contract, said it'll close by August 15th. You give them a call and you say, I'm working on something. I told you I need to find a partner. I'm working on something, and I'm not promising you this, but please be prepared if I'm able to work it out. I think I see a path for us to get this transaction closed much sooner than August 15th. Would you be open to closing around the 21st to 25th of July if I'm able to make that happen? Would you like your money sooner? Like, they're going to be super excited. So just because you have your contract for April the 15th does not mean that that's when, or August the 15th for a closing date, does not mean that that's what your buyer needs to execute. You want to do it as soon as possible. You want to see that it's executed on. You want to be able to give yourself time to, if they back out for whatever reason, to save the deal and find another deal, find another buyer. So it's super important to control the transaction. I think that's the most important part, and that's when we start getting into the transact step, which is the final step. But you're setting it up in this resale step, this dispositions process. We want to make sure that we present the deals in a way that is confident and time saving. We want to make sure that we're presenting deals in a way that we are providing solutions to our buyers in this case. We're providing solutions by presenting them deals that they'll actually buy, right? We want to present flips to flippers. and rentals to buy and hold investors. We don't want to say, hey, you could make $50,000 on this flip to somebody that has never flipped a house before, but they have 200 rental properties. That's great. I don't flip houses. Never sold a house in my life. I've met people that they never sell houses. Does not matter. Every single house I've ever bought, I still own. I'll never sell a house. Cash flow is king to them, right? They're building appreciation, they're paying off the debt, they're getting tax benefits and all those different things, and that's what's most important to them. That's great. Present the deal in a way that solves their problem, not just a general deal. That's going to set you apart from more wholesalers than you would ever think. Taking the time to learn who your buyer is and presenting a deal in a way that solves their problem, not just a generic problem. Final step is Transact, and in the next video, we will go into that. But until next time, you guys have a good one.
Okay, let's go.